Let's try that again. If your digital environment feels like a messy closet, then tonight is for you because I'm going to talk about 5 steps that I take and I employ or use to help me get my digital life in order, to put things where they need to be so that I don't have to keep looking for them and searching. So these steps will help you breathe a little easier, find what you need to find fast, and go from chaos to calm in your digital life. Welcome to Purpose and Productivity. My name is Florence. I am your host, and I'm so excited to have you in the building with us today. I'm going to go right through the material because I'm sharing with you what I do. And you'll see that I follow a particular workflow, if you will, to get through. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about a little bit is files and folders because a lot of our digital life revolve around documents, files, spreadsheets, power slide decks, uh, images, videos, a lot of what we have in our systems, in our digital system, whether it's on a tablet, a, a phone, or a computer, that's what we're looking at. So, what I start with is create a folder structure that you can keep consistent. So, my first step is I have a very defined folder structure that I follow, and I have a very defined naming system that I follow across all of my devices. I've shared this before that I use and follow the PARA methodology modified from a gentleman by the name of Tiago Forte. And it's because those 4 top level folders work for me and I can keep it straight. If you've never heard of it, the PARA stands for projects, areas of focus, resources, and archive. PARA. Easy for me to remember. And when I'm thinking about how where I want a folder to be, it's going to fall into one of those 4 categories. And typically, it's going to fall in the first 2 in my case. The others are less. I don't go in the archive, I archive stuff off and then I purge it. But you also, not only on your computer and your tablet and your phone, make sure, and I do this in my cloud storage, whether that cloud storage is Google Drive, iCloud, Dropbox, Box, any of the cloud storage systems we use, and we don't think about it. So some maybe you're just thinking, well, I just use iCloud. iCloud is cloud storage. Interesting. It's in the name, but also following that same naming structure or file folder structure in my cloud storage. So when I have a item or set of folders that I'm archiving from my local device to my cloud storage, they go from, if it's archive, it goes from the archive folder in the local device to the archive folder in cloud storage. It doesn't go into some other folder that doesn't align with what my brain is already trained to look at. So that's number one, having a defined structure and naming convention across of all of my platforms that I use. And then my naming structure is the next level is using a easy to remember naming structure. So for example, in my case, and I've tried different things, and what I've settled on, my first level name after I get my folders in place is the key area of my life. So whether it's home and family, if it's business, if it's volunteer work, I use the same names and structure them underneath all of that. You may be different. You could just put the folder in there and put the word home or business or volunteer or church or ministry, whatever, in the name of the folder. I actually create a folder and then I put the individual files inside of the folder. Either way, that's categorizing the information the same way across all of the folders. So it's applying a uniform naming convention so that I don't get confused about what I'm looking at. If I'm looking at content marketing, content marketing is on every platform. And if it's a project, it'll say it'll be in the project folder, but then it'll be in content marketing and whatever the individual project is. If it's an area of focus, I'll give you an example. For me, an area of focus where I keep files relative to what I'm doing here, even on the YouTube channel. So I'm going to use this since that's where I'm talking. On the YouTube channel, I have graphics that I reuse all the time. That I treat that as an area of focus, but it's in the content marketing folder in the areas of focus because it's not an individual project. So it's something I repeat. I'm using it over and over and over again, and I'm focusing on it all the time. I simply mirror that structure everywhere. Okay. That is the first thing that I do, and that is something simple. And if I just walked you through it, I've established a consistent structure, and I carry this structure through in each area. I carry the same structure through files and folders. I carry it through in my task management. I carry it through in my information management or my note taking system. Specifically, I use, in my case, my note taking tool I use is Evernote. So, Evernote, I have the same structure, a notebook for a stack for projects, a stack for areas of focus, a stack for resources and reference, and a stack for archive. And then within those stacks are notebooks that are broken out the same way using the same structure that established for files and folders. In my task management system, it's the same. I have projects. This is projects and areas of focus because I'm not doing archiving in task management and I'm not really using resources in task management. I have areas of focus and I have projects. They have the same structure. So, regardless of which environment I'm looking at or what part of my productivity system, my digital life I'm looking at, it mirrors the same structure. So, number one is established structure. And I see some folks have joined me. So, I'm going to just hop to it and say hello to you all out here. But I wanted to get you started with something to think about while I greet you. And I'm going to start with hello, Frank Jackson. How are you doing? Glad to have you in the building, literally. And of course, Emotional CEO, happy Friday. Hashtag Live Tribe. Happy Friday to you. Glad to have you. And even if you're with us and you're not commenting, thank you for being here. Glad to have you. Thank you, David Hunt, for being in the building. Let's go. Let's go. Awesome. Yes, we are live. Hello, Inanea. So glad to have you in the building with us. And I thought I did see her. Hello, hello, Yolanda B. Glad to have you with us this evening. And gang, while I'm going through this material, if you have a question or comment, go ahead and drop it in the chat, and I will be sure to circle back and answer your questions later on this evening. So let's go ahead and move on. Now that my first piece is establishing a structure that I could follow, and your structure may change over time as you work with this. You may find you work with this process, you may find that the structure I initially set up, I need to tweak it, and it's okay. This is about maintaining the system and purging. This month has been about decluttering. So if you've gone through you clean that closet out and you don't want that closet to go back to the way it was, this is how we keep it from going back to the way it was. We follow these 5 steps, except this is in our digital closet, so to speak. Okay? All right. So then now that I've got my structure set up, in my weekly review, I qualify qualify the information that I will keep. What do I mean by that? I delete anything that's outdated, outdated files, outdated note, outdated task. I get rid of it. While I'm looking through and doing my weekly review, looking at the calendar, if there are events on the calendar that no longer need to be on there, I get rid of them while I'm doing my weekly review. Okay. If I'm working through my file structure, I'm cleaning out my downloads folder. If there's something in there that I know I don't need, I just delete it. I don't hang on to it on, well, maybe one day. That's how I got piles of stuff, right? Maybe one day. Notes, the same. I have a reason to be looking through notes. I'm going through one section. Anything that's outdated, I no longer need. I get rid of it. If it's something that is completed and I want to retain it for whatever the reason may be, I go ahead and move it to archive. But the key is that information is qualified to reside in my system. It has a place and it is earned. In the digital world, we have so much more space than we can sometimes think we have unlimited space, but we don't. There's a limit to it. The hard drive is going to run out of space. The cloud storage is going to run out of space. Just the clutter of having tons and tons and tons of pieces of information that we'll never go back and look at, but we don't want to deal with keeping it clean. It's easy to let it just run amok in our digital environment because it's unlike our physical environment where you're going to trip over that pile every time you walk past it. In your digital world, you're not tripping over it. So qualifying or making information have to earn its place in my system every week is one way I keep this under control. And after I've done that, anything that remains, anything after I've purged, deleted, archived, I also reorganize any information that's in the wrong place, reorganize misplaced information. Maybe I've got a file that's not in the correct folder. Maybe I've got a note that's not out of in the correct folder, or maybe that note is not named correctly. Maybe that task needs to be renamed because it's not clear. I take care of that kind of reorganization that once a week during my weekly review. Okay. So if you're following this, as you go through your weekly review, go ahead and employ this same process of qualifying the information so that it has earned a place in your digital life. And it's not there by just being there because we don't take care of it. Just we don't pay attention to it. Just like we have to do laundry to have clean clothes to wear. We have to wash dishes to have a clean kitchen. We have to sweep the floor and vacuum and dust and do all of those things. The work we're doing there, we have to do it to maintain our environment. We're maintaining our digital environment. Okay. So then I get into now that I've made sure that what I have is what I want to have, I also look at, are there places in my platforms that are not unified, they're not connected, and I make sure that my platforms are connected or unified for all of the ways I get information, all the access points where information come into my system. I may get information in an email, I may get information in text message, I may get information in um, off of the internet, off of a website. I may get information in, just a document that I create, or a note I create, or a task I create, or a project I create out of my own brain. I've done some brainstorming. I need to take my mind map. But I want to make sure all of those pieces and parts and components, they're how when I say get them in my system, whether it's in my cloud storage, in my task management, in my notes app, in my files and folders, I have access to them across all of my platforms. What do I mean by that? I have access to my task system on my tablet, on my computer, from the web browser, and from my phone. Once the project and the task are in my task management system, it every place I would look, I immediately have access to it. So if I need to pick up my phone, it's there. If I pick up my tablet, it's there. If I'm at the computer, it's there. If I'm in the library and I need to go to it in the browser, I can get to it. My platform and the information is unified in a consistent place. This is key for being able to manage and have a working environment that doesn't become extra clutter. And the way I came to this in the days before you could have all of these different systems and platforms connected was there was a lot more of having to copy and paste and make copies of information because I would have it on this device over here and then I couldn't see it and then I'd have a piece of paper and then I remember doing all of that. I was copying calendar events from one system into the other system, from my phone into my computer, and from my one computer into the other computer. Now, all of those platforms are unified. What I would encourage you is if you don't have all of your places that you access information unified into one way where you can get to it, regardless of which of your devices you're on, start putting those in place. If you have a computer and a phone, let's start there. Make sure that you can get to your task on your phone and your task on your computer. Make sure you can get to your files on your phone and your files on your computer. Make sure you can get to your notes on your phone and your notes on your computer. And when you put in or receive information that goes in one or the other, it automatically syncs and shows up in the opposite. One of the things I talk about on this channel is using the tools we already have access to, especially as we begin and we're not accustomed to this type of integrated, what we call integrated environment. If we get to using tools that are commonly and they're already available, it'll help us be in this unified environment without us having to do a whole lot of different work to get it unified. If that's making sense to you, go ahead and put a one in the chat so I know. And if you have a question, put a Q colon and I'll get to your questions during the Q&A segment. So again, make sure your tools, whatever you're using, your devices are syncing all of your components, your notes, your task, your cloud storage, your files across your devices. And so that what it does, the benefit to you is you're not duplicating information. You have access to critical information and resources that are then not scattered all over the place. And they're not under piles and piles and piles because you've got a structure. You reduce your time searching for what you need. So when you need that piece of information, you need that graphic that you wanted to use, you need that video that you wanted to use as B-roll, you need that checklist that you're going to use to make sure you don't overlook a step in your process is quickly and easily available. And you don't have to go now, okay, it's a checklist. What did I call it? Where did I put it? Um, how did I name it? Can I get to it from this device or that device? I'll give you an example where I didn't do this, and this week I corrected it. I use the Discord app, or I go to Discord. for communicating with an organization that I work with. I had Discord on my computer and I had it on a tablet. I didn't put Discord on my phone. Well, I found myself someplace where I didn't have my tablet and I wasn't at a computer and I needed to get some information and get it into Discord. It's like, this is why you, Florence, you know better. You know that old saying, when you know better, you do better. Well, I did better and I went ahead and put Discord on the phones so that when I need to communicate a piece of information inside of that organization, I can do it quickly without thinking about it. And oh, let me just say this, I had written the information using drafts. So all I had to do was push a button and push it over to Discord. But because I didn't have Discord on the phone, I was delayed in getting it done. Now, that was the easy one because, of course, I've got an Apple phone and I just downloaded the app, logged in, and there it was. The point is, I wasted 2 or 3 minutes because I didn't already have that integration set up. Was it a huge amount of time? No, but if I could have done that same task in 15 seconds, then I had almost another 2 minutes to do something else. That's when you start getting very crystal clear of being not chaotic and being able to operate with calm. Okay. So the next thing is, and I just talked about that a little bit, is start to understand how to use some of the advanced features of your devices in your apps to reduce the manual effort. My example, I shared it here just now. I use an app called Drafts for just kind of general capture. I can do transcription in it. I can use Markdown, and have actions or automation set up that I can push the information to multiple places. So I start when I'm myself putting information in many times, even when I'm putting want it to go into Evernote, I will start it in drafts. This was an example where I needed to communicate some information about actually a show. I had written the information out in drafts. I had a script in draft that would grab it, copy it, paste it into Discord. That same script works on my computer. It worked on my tablet. It would work on my phone if I had the Discord app. So I'm using the advanced features of the drafts application to reduce my manual effort of moving information around. That is Yes, David, if you have an oxygen per that 2 to 3 minutes can mean the difference between life and death. Absolutely. A- so absolute, right? So that's an example of starting to understand the difference in how to use advanced features in your devices. And it doesn't have to be super complicated advanced features in my device. I use Apple shortcuts to do some very simple things, but because they're set up to actually happen, that means I'm not manually executing those tasks. And I'm also don't manually then have to go look for where the information is and copy and paste it because I figured out how to use that advanced feature. Example, when I do y'all know how many times we have to type our email addresses and stuff? I'm just asking. I'm like, everything you do these days, they want you to put your email address in online, in an app, in a form. Your email address. So I have a 3-letter code for my long email address. So I never have to worry about mistyping it or what it is. I just use these 3-letter codes and I have it in my text expansion and I put it in. What does that have to do with decluttering? I don't have to type it out, copy and paste, remember if and type it wrong. Now I've got to clean that up and go back. It's very efficient. That is the point. And I'm using this feature just on my devices. that I have already, the apps that I have already. I'm not using something different every time. So reduce that manual effort by spending a little bit of time to learn a few advanced features in your apps. Tapping a button is great, but again, those seconds and minutes add up and they're a critical part of your life and you cannot get them back. So I'm going to encourage you, if you are ready to take your digital organization up a level, you're ready to say, okay, I'm getting this, I'm understanding. I'm going to ask you to go to the description of this video and click the first link that's there and join the Purpose and Productivity community in school. In there, we share tips, tricks, wins, we ask questions to help us get clarity. And also, I share resources in there that don't get shared anyplace else, just so you know. But it's a place for support where we come together. I would encourage you to do that if this is making sense to you and you're ready to take it up a notch. So the fourth thing I do is I'm going to talk about something that you could say it's at the beginning, but it's here because this is where the other three really start to come together. Okay? How many of you, if you remember in the days where you would put those inboxes on your desk at work, put yes in the chat. So we had these inboxes, and I remember I would come in and I would go to the mail room and I would get the mail that had been put in my mail slot, and I would just bring it to the office and dump it in the inbox. I wasn't going to deal with it right then. I needed to get it and I dump it in the inbox. Well, we need a digital inbox to capture all of that incoming content without a whole lot of effort. A place to route all of the incoming information. And in the digital world, it may be, and it's highly likely to be more than one inbox. So let me tell you what mine are. My inbox is drafts is my inbox. I have a section of my drafts that just says inbox. So stuff that I'm grabbing, it just goes in there. I don't worry about organizing it or doing anything. It's just in there because I'm going to process it later in the day. My email, of course, our email inbox by default, we have inbox. If you have more than one email account, you may have more than one email inbox. Evernote, I've got a notebook that I call inbox. When I'm web clipping, when I'm voice recording, when I'm forwarding content, email messages into Evernote, when I'm doing research, that stuff lands in my email, in my inbox in Evernote. On my computer, my downloads folder operates as an inbox. Those are all inboxes. But just like we didn't leave the pile of stuff, whether it was batteries or a flashlight or letters or um, the interoffice mail envelopes, we didn't leave those in those inboxes on our desk forever. Eventually, they had to come off. They'd start falling on the floor or something if they got too high. Eventually, we got that stuff out of there. Well, we have to do the same thing, but we create the inbox. Why? It's the common place. You know exactly where your information is going to land. When you get it, you don't have to be distracted about, well, where does this go and where does that go and where do I organize this to? Just get it all into your inbox, whichever ones you have, first. Establish what those are in the places they need to be for you. I just shared what mine are, but for you, they may be different. Then at a later time, weekly review is a great time to do this, is we process and organize all of the information in our inbox. I go through. Now, I've got a couple of um, a little cheat code. My downloads folder, for example, let's talk about that. I have um, an automation set up to look for PNG files specifically because usually I'm getting a graphic that I'm going to reuse, and it automatically moves that PNG file out of my downloads folder if it's been in there more than a day. And I have a specific folder it goes to so that that downloads folder doesn't end up having 10,000 documents in it. Same thing with um, music files, MP3, video files, MP4. I have an automation set up. It's what watches the downloads folder on my computer and it moves those files to someplace else where I want them to be. I have um, automation set up or scripts if you want or action set up in drafts that I tap it and it moves certain information to a project area if it's a project file that I've set up. And if it's an email, it pushes it to email. I don't even open my email inbox to send emails. I write the email in draft, including the subject line, and I tap a button on my phone or on my computer or on my tablet. It creates the email, opens the email, I address it, and it sends it off. And I'm not fooling around in email all day. That's how I push a lot of when I have to send out, it's outgoing. I do it that way. So think about I've got these inboxes. I don't want them to stay piled up, but I want to move this stuff around. You can also set up scripts online using tools that I've talked about, things like Keyboard Maestro, things like I'm going to talk about Apple because that's the world I live in. But if you're in a Windows, especially if you're in a Microsoft 365, you can use Power Automate to automate a lot of these capabilities and features that I'm talking about. But to create some automation again, so you're managing where the information is going, but you're not manually having to move it all. And so you clean this stuff up, these files and these documents and these projects up at least weekly. Now, for me, I do a little baby version every day. What I do is in the morning, so this is my morning routine every morning. In the morning, when I log in, I look at my calendar. I look at what happened the day before, what's happening today, and what's happening tomorrow. I create a daily note. Any files, any notes from the day before, anything that I'm randomly thinking about, I just dump it on that daily note. I don't worry about it. Right? A lot of times, I've, especially during the evening when I've gotten offline, I'll grab my phone and put something in drafts. So I'll take that and push it into my daily note as well and get it out of drafts. Right. So I'm doing a little baby version every day. This is part of my morning startup routine. That reduces the amount of effort for me every week. So you can do this miniature version, and it's getting my day set up ready for me to go and operate. Okay. So I'm just telling you what I do. Again, this is about the steps that I follow, and I'm really wanting you to see, and I want to explain what I'm doing so that you can use some of it. So this I call this just implementing my digital inboxes, whatever they may be. You may have 2, you may have 3, you may have 7. But be very clear for each part of your system what those digital inboxes are: email, notes, um, files and folders, files that coming into your computer. Even now, since Apple has released iOS 26 and macOS 26, you can do some customization there, right? You can have a shortcut that takes messages and move them over to another system, for example. Whatever your digital inboxes are, just set them up and then make sure you plan the time to organize and clean them up. And then you can also layer on top of that some of those advanced features of your everyday tools to manage how you organize that information. I've given away the last one a little bit already because I'm this saves me so much time. And that is I use smart filters, search, and some simple automations to automatically manage files, folders, and I'm going to go through what I use for each one of these areas. In email, I've set up filters in I did it in both Apple Mail and in Google Mail, filters that automatically move email around. So things that like receipts when you buy something, newsletters that I subscribe to, repeat reminders that I get, I don't have to open those every day. I managed going through that and doing a purge on them once a week. But I have filters set up to move them out of my inbox so I'm not seeing them. Messages, I'll give you a real prevalent one. When I get comments on my YouTube channel, of course, you get an email telling you ABC person left you a comment. None of those emails ever hit my email inbox. Ever, ever, ever. They go into they're labeled and they're filtered out. When I am ready to process those and respond to those comments, I go into that folder and I process through those emails very quickly. And then once I process them, I don't need to keep them. I have a filter that then just deletes them. Didn't take me a whole lot of time, but that's one where I say use filters to manage email. Same thing with newsletters. There are a few newsletters that I read. When they come in, I read them generally about once a week. So I have them all filtered. I go through, I read them. The ones that I'm going to keep in my case, I push them to Evernote because I'm not going to go back and look for them in email. But if there's something in there that I know I'm going to want to refer back to for whatever reason, I will push it because I've got it set up already. I'll push it over to Evernote and it goes into my Evernote inbox. Okay. Files and folders I talked about automating, especially my downloads folder, but a few others too. I use a combination of two apps. One is Hazel, Hazel. The other one is Keyboard Maestro. I've used these for years and years and years on my Apple computer because both of them, Hazel does nothing but file management. Keyboard Maestro does so much more. I started using Hazel before I started using Keyboard Maestro. So I have those rules set up and I will change them. So I use those two tools to automate file and folder management. I would say look at them. Neither of these applications are super expensive. Keyboard Maestro, I think it's maybe $30. You buy it one time and you got it. But you can literally learn how to automate everything on your computer. Okay. I have automated creating repeat projects. Example, and I do this in drafts, just so you know. I write out the project in drafts the way I want it organized in my task management system. I write out the dates, whether it's a due date, a refer date, a plan when I plan to do the thing, the task date, where I plan to do it. Am I going to be in a certain application? Am I going to be in a certain place? I write all of that out in drafts. Because Drafts has the automation, when I get ready to execute that project again, I tap an action, it shoves the project into my task management tool, OmniFocus. It organizes it exactly the way I want. It puts the dates in exactly the way I want, and I clicked one button. Now, my daily plan, the task shows up in my list every day. Today, okay, this is on the list today. I don't have to go through manually picking them. What I'm suggesting to you, whatever tool you use, see if these are things that you can do in your tools. It reduces your manual effort and your decision fatigue. Okay. You can use this. I was talking with another creator and I saw that he was using drafts and some of what I'm talking about. And I was like, and I saw the task management tool he was using. I was like, why are you manually copying and pasting that? You're doing too much work. Don't because I knew that he could automate it and not have to do the manual copy and paste. The last one is if you have a device or devices like one of the Stream Decks, the 6 key, the 15 key, the 32 key, the virtual Stream Deck, the Stream Deck Neo, the Stream Deck Plus, whichever one you have, use the device to level up your day to day maintenance in your environment. What do I mean by that? If you're not into writing all of these various keyboard maestro, you can set it up so that you can create a script, press the button, and execute the script. So if you don't want to schedule it, I do this even, and I'm starting to do this now with even some of my projects. I've got the scripts written, I can put them on a button. I don't even have to open the app on my phone, on my computer, or on my tablet. I just put it on the Stream Deck button and I'm off and running. So think about how you use these tools you already have to maintain your environment, to maintain your digital life so that you're not doing so much. Now let me just tell you, if I could get my physical world to be as great as my digital world, whoo, I'd be so happy. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Denise, this is where you come in because you got it going on in this area. And hello, good evening to you. So, my fifth part is personalized automation and search. I've set up specific search filters. For example, since Evernote is my information hub, I've got searches already set up in Evernote that I don't have to redo over and over again. For example, I have a search set up and a pin note set up for my monthly content plan for the shows. I don't have to redo that. It's just set up and it's working, right? I have uh, a search set up to look for all of my scripts to make sure that when I have a script that it's in the right folder for my workflow. Is it in the development stage or is it in the completed stage or is it ready for is my content ready for me to schedule a video or schedule a show? I have all of those set up and they just come across and I see them. So this process of setting up filters in search will carry across nearly any digital application you use. If it's reminders, if it's TickTick, if it's Google Keep, if it's Google Task, there's some form of this same setup that you can use. If it's Apple Notes or any of those, if it's ClickUp, if it's Notion, you can set up these filters to give you exactly what you need without a lot of manual. When I say a lot, like you're having to manually set them up over and over again. Set it up, let it run, and tweak it along the way, and it helps you maintain your digital environment. So, again, my 5 steps are establish your structure, get that locked in. Then make sure the information you're qualifying it has earned its space in your system. If it doesn't need to be there, get rid of it. Delete it, archive it, purge it, get it out of your system. Unify your platforms and access to all of your information, all the places that you need to be able to find and see it would be beneficial. Unify, get it so that it's working for you and not against you. Then implement digital inboxes. Again, you may have more than one, you may have several, but implement those digital inboxes and commit to information going into those digital inboxes. And then you're going to use some of the tools and techniques to automations to personalize, managing and moving that information around into your system where it's going to go. And you're going to do that on a regular basis, at least once a week. If you stretch it, maybe once every 2 weeks. But if you go much further than about 2 weeks out, you're going to find that it's piling up, just like, other things pile up. Those are the 5 steps that I follow to go through. So I thought I saw a couple of questions, but I want to say hello to some folks who have slipped into the building. And I saw 24-hour boss. Hello, Brian. How are you doing? Glad to have you in the building. And hey, Roy, glad to have you in the building. You put all your screenshots folders that automatically back up to my Google Drive. Exactly. That's a great automation to have in place, especially if you use a lot of them. And Roy said he didn't have an inbox but on his desk, but he started with email. Great. You started with something. Great. Awesome. 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 I thought I saw one. Yep. Miss Denise, glad to have you in the building. Call those messages. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Call those messages. All right. I'm looking to see that I miss anybody. All right. Let's see what questions we got here. See if we got any questions. Okay. So Denise asked a question here. And her question is, can you name the 4 folder system again? Yes, para, projects, areas of focus, resources, and archive. I'll drop it in chat for you. Para. Projects, areas of focus. I'm typing, y'all. Resources. I also sometimes call this reference, just so you know. And archive. And you can genuinely replicate this across your entire every part of your environment. Okay? And then David says, which calendar system do you feel is the best? The one that works for you. The calendar system that works for you is the one that's best. I'll tell you what I use. I'm not saying it's the best, but I'm going to tell you what I use. I use Google Calendar. And on my devices, on my tablet, on my phone, on my computer, I have the Google accounts set up on each of those devices. I rarely, when I tell you I rarely go into email using my Apple Mail application. Very rarely. But what I use it for is what I was seeing with drafts. Because when drafts sends an email, what it does is it actually opens the Apple Mail app, and then depending on how I've set it up, sometimes I've got the addressees already selected. If not, I can just put the who I'm sending the email into the mail message and hit send if I've done it that way, and then it just closes it down. It doesn't stay open. So I almost never go into Apple Mail because my back end, if you will, my real mail account is Google Mail. I use Google Calendar, and I don't go into, again, my Apple Calendar almost ever. I use Fantastical because I've been using it for 15 years. I use Fantastical for things that I'm managing. And again, I've got it on every device, and I can enter events on the calendar using natural language, which is what excited me. And I have in Evernote, my calendars show up. So when I'm in Evernote, I can see my calendar there. So I'm in Evernote every day. If I need to see what's scheduled on the calendar on my schedule, I can see it right there in Evernote, and I don't have to go out and look at calendar in Google or Apple or anything because this is right there for me. This is an example of that integration and having a unified environment that I was talking about. Is it the best? Eh. Does it work for me? Absolutely. Whether I've got calendars for volunteer organizations that serve with, I've got uh, business calendar, I've got home calendar, I've got content calendars. I can see across that entire landscape just being in my Evernote or just being in Fantastical and see how all of those events line up, even if they cross over each other because I use color coding. I have a um, word just went out my head, a time block calendar, so I can manage. Okay, where do I want to put certain types of events? That shows up as well, and then I can turn them on and off of as turn them on and off as I desire without even having to log into Google or having to go anywhere. So that's the way I do it. Okay. Uh and oh, sorry. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. All right. David asks, is drafts a paid app? So, yes and no. Well, yes, it is, but there's a completely free. You can get the app from the Apple Store completely free. And the basics of it you can use quite well without paying for it. Um, it's pretty inexpensive. I don't remember exactly what it cost, but it's like very inexpensive, like $2 or something. Um, I'm gonna try to look it up here for y'all because I don't remember. I've had it forever, like since version one came out, so I don't remember. Let's see if I can tell from here. Oh, I can't tell how much it is, but you can look in the Apple Store and see. It doesn't tell me because I've had this like the things that I have. Just so you all know, Keyboard Maestro, Hazel, um, Drafts. Evernote is what I've had the longest. I've had it since 2008 and used it since 2008 nearly every day. Um, and Alfred. I've used those applications on my Mac devices for from 2008 forward. So I've used them for years and years and years and years and years together. And I have tried different combinations and tested. And sometimes I tweak and I'll find that again, I'm finding friction. And when I find friction, I change my system. I change what I'm doing and how I'm doing it so that I get rid of that friction point. So for drafts, I use it all the time because it has even before Apple improved the dictation with Siri, I could dictate in drafts. I could pause, get my thought together, and it would still take the dictation. Evernote has now improved this dictation a lot, but my habit is to use drafts, so I still use it that way. And it's just a simple, no button, no frill, easy, easy tool, but it has a lot of power in it. Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any. I think I've answered everyone. I'm just double checking. Oh, oh, just okay, Denise. I just see it. Denise said, she said, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. She said, I had all those email messages from YouTube. Oh, yeah. I learned very quickly when I started. I'm like, oh, absolutely not. I will not do this. I set that darn filter up so fast. I was like, I will not be doing this every day. Mm-mm. Nope. So that's how I David, what do you mean you missed the calendar question? Are you s- are you saying you missed my answer? Okay. I tell you what, I'll answer you. I'll record an answer and put it in the community for you. Does that work? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if that works for you. For me to record an answer and put it in the community for you. I'm just double checking. Any other questions? Um I this is this again, this five-step process is one that I have used for a long time, and it's just baked in, and if you're just getting started with it, it may take you a little bit of effort to build a habit, and if you just wanna take one of those steps and build a habit of that one step first, and then do habit stacking, then add the second one, and then add the next one. And over a period of a few weeks, you can get all of these steps into your workflow. And if you need help, or if you ever wonder what your digital life can look like without it being chaotic, because it doesn't have to be, click the link in the description and come join us over in Purpose and Productivity. And we'll be glad to answer your questions. And I'm going to be doing some things. I'm actually already doing things over there that they're getting, that the information is not any place except in the community because it's where the magic happens. And we're having a great time over there. That's it, y'all. These five steps, they will help you keep your digital life from being a messy closet. With that, I'm going to say good night, and I will see you in the next video or live stream. Have a great weekend.